I mean, it's a very uncertain backdrop, and those pressures have been, pushing certain business costs higher across a wide variety of products. It's not necessarily expecting, prices to decline, keep going up, but at a slower pace.
We heard the warning from Nathan Jansen, an assistant chief economist with RBC, that sharply increasing energy costs are likely to accelerate inflation, and that what goes up typically doesn't come down in the world of consumer prices. Now another word of caution from one of Western University's associate professors of consumer behavior.
It doesn't matter that we saw it coming, we're still surprised by it.
That consumers are feeling uneasy, which could hamper our attempts at a post-pandemic recovery. And that while individual consumers have unique circumstances, she still expects demand for gas to remain high despite the cost.
For many people, they don't really have a choice but to engage in the commute or engage in, driving the kids to sports or whatever it is.
Are we at a point where, we all kind of thought, okay, the pandemic's letting up, we're going to spend all that money. And now we're looking at gas prices and war and going, and that's taking a toll?
I think so, yeah. A lot of our focus in society right now is on rebuilding our economy and getting things reopened. I think we are at the point where people thought they would be spending and where businesses need people to be spending. And yet we are getting so many red flags in parts of our lives that confidence is dropping.
When times start looking tough, we see people noticing that, reacting to it very, very quickly. When things get better, do people react as quickly to the good news?
So there's some really interesting research that looks at sort of perceived financial scarcity and how people really respond differently to experiences of resources being tight, based on aspects like if they grew up with resources being tight, they've developed coping mechanisms.
And there may be another issue at play. If we go back and look at the median earnings of a Canadian worker between 17 and 25 in 1981, that worker, according to Statistics Canada, was making $15.79 an hour or over $31,000 annually. According to the CUPE inflation calculator, that's equivalent to over $87,000 in real wages today. For comparison, according to StatsCan, an employee of the same demographic in 2019 earned a median salary of $61,200.
Is the ability of the consumer to adapt to these fluctuations, is it shrinking? Has it been diminished over the past 2 decades?
Well, if you look to statistics on things like income inequality, I think the answer is yes. I mean, we are seeing an increasing gap there between the haves and the have-nots. There is less spending that can happen in a discretionary way. So you absolutely will feel it in all parts of society if consumers are holding back. And I think at this point, many consumers will begin to feel like they have no choice but to hold back.
For City News, I'm David Zura.